Arms Week Bows is this week's current event inside of the portal, and we finally have something to do after a rather long dry spell since Christmas. And alongside this event came two brand new weapons, the King Orfeo bow and the Heron glaive. Admittedly not the most enticing weapon archetypes, however there are still some very cool uses for them, all of which we will be discussing today, as well as a brief guide on how the event works and breaking down the new selection of volatile mods as well. And you're gonna want them because one of them is actually breaking the game, like seriously. So if you find today's content helpful, then your like and subscription would be very much appreciated. So for starters, here is a quick guide on how to begin the event. Upon logging in, you'll be given a quest to talk to Ada 1 in the shooting range, and after doing so, she will give you a free copy of King Orfeo and the initial calibration quest. And to start earning gear from the event, this is what you ought to complete first. You will now need to complete both prototype tuning quests in order to progress. One of the objectives involves getting kills with bows in portal activities, and the other completing matches of the Arms Week Hardware Crucible playlist. And win or lose, you will need to complete 2 matches of this mode to finish the quest. For the prototype tuning bowstring, I recommend heading into the creation solo op and getting your kills there. It's only around 30 kills, so you'll be done in no time. Completing both of these quests, and therefore the initial calibration quest as well, will reward you with the Shatter Shafts volatile mod and unlock the remaining 2 quests for the other 2 volatile mods, which just require getting a bunch of kills with bows in portal activities. And you'll want to do these quests because one of the mods, Tungsten Bowstring, is very good. More on this later in the volatile mod section, and to complete these quests more efficiently, I recommend heading to the Thrallway inside of the Whisper mission and farming your kills there. It'll only take maximum 5 minutes and you're done. Okay, so now let's talk about the weapons on offer, starting with King Orfeo. King Orfeo is an arc precision frame bow, meaning it's in the same family as other bows like the Priestine Axe, a Crude Redemption, or Hush, and it does have some pretty interesting perks that haven't showed up on a bow before, plus a brand new origin trait called Nail Meet Hammer. So let's start with that. Nail Meet Hammer states that this weapon is more effective against combatant shields. Destroying a shield with this weapon grants improved special ammo progress if it uses primary or heavy ammo, or improved heavy ammo progress if it uses special ammo. And taking a look in game, a different precision frame bow deals 116 damage to this solar shield, and King Orfeo with Nail Meet Hammer deals 133, so around 15% more, which is nothing too crazy. The real meat of this weapon, however, can be found in its perk selection. Starting in the left column, we have Surplus, Shoot to Loot, Archer's Tempo, Explosive Head, Successful Warm-Up, Pugilist, and Impulse Amplifier. Pretty standard as far as bows go, but then in the right column we have Dragonfly, Rolling Storm, Precision Instrument, Mega Neura, Rangefinder, Jolting Feedback, and Swashbuckler. So, 2 things stand out to me from this bow. Number 1, it gets Mega Neura, which is just a better version of Dragonfly, but more importantly, it gets Jolting Feedback, making it the first ever bow to get this perk. And the question on everyone's minds is how many arrows does it take to trigger the jolt on a bow? Because Jolting Feedback is a magazine size based perk, and with a bow having only 1 in the mag, inverted commas, how does this perk function? Well, taking a look in game, normally without being amplified it takes 3 arrows to trigger the jolt, which is a little on the too many side. However, the bow does also get access to Explosive Head to pair alongside Jolting Feedback. So will it make a difference since the explosive portion of the damage is technically a second damage instance? Unfortunately, again, even with Explosive Head, it still takes 3 shots to apply Jolt. However, in both cases, if you become amplified, it only takes 2 arrows to apply the Jolt instead, which is honestly not bad. Especially if you're finding yourself in an activity where most enemies take more than 1 arrow to kill, you're going to be able to trigger the Jolt very frequently. What this does tell us though is that Explosive Head isn't really needed, at least for the Jolting Feedback role, and is more up to personal preference if you want to go with the perk or not. And just as a quick refresher, Explosive Head splits the damage of your arrows into an impact and explosive component, and normally without the perk we're dealing 225 damage. However, with the perk on, this now becomes a total of 235, which is around a 4.5% increase. Plus you've got the range fall off boost as well, but for a bow, range isn't really an issue. As for my personal god roll, in the right column I wholeheartedly recommend Jolting Feedback, and to pair with it, in my opinion there is no better pick than the tried and true Archer's Tempo, mainly because it's faster than Impulse Amplifier, as you can see by this side-by-side comparison, and Explosive Head isn't really needed since the damage increase isn't substantial enough, nor does it improve the Jolting Feedback interaction. So overall, my god roll recommendation for King Orfeo would be Archer's Tempo plus Jolting Feedback. Also be sure to spec out your bow for minimum draw time, meaning you're looking for Elastic String, a draw time masterwork, and compact arrow shaft. The Heron is next, and this is the first ever glaive that's part of the tier system. Believe it or not, but the Edge of Fate didn't bring any new glaives, but rest rest assured, dear viewer, the Heron has come to rescue us all. The Heron is a void aggressive glaive, putting it in the same family as Rakeangle and Judgment of Kel'Garath. And with aggressive glaives being the best glaive archetype in general, it's already looking good for the Heron. Perks-wise, starting in the left column, we have Proximity Power, Replenishing Aegis, Disruption Break, Repulsor Brace, Lead from Gold, Overflow, and Envious Assassin, which are some really solid glaive perks. Then in the right, there's Destabilizing Rounds, Redirection, Unrelenting, Binary Orbit, Unstoppable Force, Close to Melee, and Sword Logic. Okay, so to me, the combinations that stand out are Disruption Break and Lead from Gold in the left, then either Destabilizing Rounds or Close to Melee in the right. And starting with Disruption Break, this perk is pretty cool on glaives because the melee damage is technically coded as kinetic damage, meaning that upon breaking an enemy shield, specifically with the projectile, it won't work if done with the melee. Your melee damage is now increased by 50% for 5.5 seconds. And considering that it too has the Nail Meat Hammer origin trait, it's dealing even more damage to shields than usual, which allows Disruption Break to be more easily triggered. Close to Melee is a great pairing with Disruption Break because, as a reminder, with this perk equipped, getting a projectile kill grants 10 seconds of Close to Melee, which is a 60% glaive melee damage increase, which does stack with the effects of Disruption Break, making for a pretty easy to maintain high melee damage setup. Destabilizing Rounds is obviously also quite good for crowd control, but it's ultimately up to personal preference. But there are usually other ways to get volatile rounds, such as via fragments like Facet of Bravery or Echo of Instability, and artifact perks sometimes tend to help as well. So for me, my personal god roll would have to be either Disruption Break plus Close to Melee, or Lead from Gold plus Close to Melee, purely for the ammo utility. Ideally, I can have both on the same weapon. Definitely go grab yourself this weapon if you're a glaive enthusiast, as it's likely the new best in slot energy glaive. Fingers crossed we get Unstoppable Glaive back in the artifact soon. Arms Week has also brought a selection of 3 volatile mods which will expire once the event concludes, and I quickly want to highlight what each one of them do, because to be honest, they're all really good, and one is actually breaking the game in rather spectacular fashion. Okay, let's start with Shatter Shafts. This mod will make it so your bow projectiles split apart into several pieces. Not only that though, combining this perk with someone on your team running Divinity, you end up doing a somewhat significant amount of damage to whatever you come across. Nothing to see here really, just a bow killing the literal end of the universe in as little as 22 arrows. Nothing at all. Jokes aside, there is a seriously game-breaking bug occurring right now where combining a bow with Shatter Shafts and Divinity is dealing a lot more damage than intended. And the only place this mod doesn't work is in both the regular and epic versions of the Desert Perpetual raids. It does in fact work inside of Equilibrium despite mentioning otherwise, so if you wanted to complete any 5 feet Equilibrium runs, finish up some Master Raid Triumphs or any associated farming, then now is the time. Jump Shot is next, and it's going to make it so drawing your bow while airborne dramatically increases your movement speed in whatever direction you choose, as well as increasing your bow damage provided you remain airborne, with the exact percentage being 90%, which does allow you to one-tap to the head in PvP. Only in the hardware playlist though, thankfully. Finally, Tungsten Bowstring is going to massively increase the damage of all of your bows at the cost of reducing your handling speed and increasing your bow's draw time. It's literally like they copy-pasted the exact handling profile of Leviathan's Breath and are now giving you the option to apply to any bow of your choice. And by the way, the damage increase is 75%. And yes, this mod can also be applied to crossbows. Take a look at this clip here, particularly at the DPS board. 15k DPS is absolutely no joke. So if you're a Void Hunter enjoyer, you're definitely eating good this week. Plus, it's also perfect for the Warlord's Ruin challenge that's currently ongoing. I would highly suggest bringing this build in on a Void Hunter if you're looking for a super easy solo one phase. I'm considering making a dedicated build video for this, so let me know down in the comments if that's something you'd like to see. Overall, Arms Week isn't the promised roadmap or state of the game that all of us are so desperate to see. However, it is a nice event to keep us going in the meantime with some solid loot attached to it. So I hope you enjoyed today's guide, and good luck on chasing your god rolls. And if you found the guide helpful, your like and comments go a really long way, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one. Anyway, that's all for today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now, dear viewer.